steps up. Ricketts is at the high point. Jones. Aromaterio has a lane. Nicholas Aromaterio, the shot. Scores! Holy jumping! The Italian stallion puts the puck in the back of the net. Mamma mia, Nicholas Aromaterio! So to keep it in and does. Callum Jones for Potts. At the blue line, kept in by the skate of Thomas Maya. Maya. Down low on the half course, he swings out in the slot for Potts. Kyle Potts has it, hands on, now he shoots, scores! Holy jumping! How do you do? Kyle Potts puts the puck in the back of the net. Blades block that shot, and coming the other way is Alton McDermott. He's in on the breakaway, scores! Holy jumping! His grandfather, Paul Henderson, must be ecstatic about that one because Alton McDermott just scored his first career Buckland Cup final playoff goal. Has been pulled. The Dukes are in the Oakville zone. Zone salvage. Swung that around. The Blades are trying to tie this puck up. It goes into the corner. The Blades have a chance to get this out. Lions will tie it up. 10 seconds. Gilmore has it at the point. It's in. Tips. Just wide. 7 seconds. It's back in the corner. Ewing's back in. 3, 2, 1. The Oakville Blades. Holy jumping. Blades win. Blades win. Blades win. The Oakville Blades are Buckland Cup champions. You're watching and listening to Mamma Mia. This is Fire Talk with Nicholas Fiore. Welcome back, everybody, to episode number 48 of Mamma Mia. This is Fire Talk. I'm Nicholas Fiore, the host of the show and play-by-play broadcaster for the Oakville Blades in the Ontario Junior Hockey League. And on this edition of the show, I have a special guest with me, national reporter for Rogers SPORTSNET, Arash Madani. Arash, thanks for joining. I appreciate it.
Nick, good to see you, man.
Absolutely. It's funny story of people don't know, of course, and other than a couple of buddies that was with me that night. It was a night in August or so, and we were at the Jays game, and then I walked past the restaurant there, right outside the Rogers Center, and I'm like, "Hey guys, that's Arash Madani." And one buddy's like, "Oh yeah, I know him." The other one's like, "Bro, we just came to the Jays game for fun with the boys. That's it. We don't know much about any of the sport. They watch racing a lot." I said, "Guys, you know what? I'm gonna go talk to him. You never know, right? You never know what can happen." So I approached you, and obviously you're with some people that you know, and you're kind enough to talk and jump on this, and I really do appreciate it.
Yeah, you got it, Nick. I mean, look, I appreciate that you're able to just have the initiative and thought to come over and say hello. And as somebody who's getting started in the industry, that's really important, that nothing is you have to go get it yourself. And that's what I told you that night. And you did that. And here we are. So looking forward to our conversation.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Let's start off with, your career, of course, and you've done and covered so many sports and so many different major sporting events. I almost, me and my dad almost call you the James Duffy of Sportsnet, because James Duffy covers so much of, the TSN side of, and so many sports, and you do the same on the Sportsnet side. What is that like, though, covering so many different sports? I mean, obviously you love doing it and you love going to all these different places, and we're going to talk about the travel, but is it crazy sometimes you go from either basketball to hockey to baseball, and so many more?
Yeah, no, it's all part of it. And I actually enjoy the variety a lot. Nick, I'm asked by some people from time to time, "Hey, what's your favorite sport to cover?" And my answer is I like the variety. I like the fact that, in October I was doing the baseball postseason. From there I went on to do the Billie Jean King Cup, basically, which is the World Cup of women's tennis, and then do a little bit of radio, and now I'm headed off to Davis Cup and then the Grey Cup from there. These are I enjoy doing a little bit of everything. I find it keeps my skill set sharp. I feel that I learn different things from other sports that kind of helps me relate to athletes and learn and see a different perspective on things. And it helps with my preparation. I mean, preparation is as important as anything else. I know we live in a hot take world, but the more prepared you are, the better you can execute your gig. And so I think that's a real important part of all this.
I saw on your Instagram feed that you covered my beloved Azzurri when the Italy didn't make the World Cup back in 2018 in Rome. How cool was that? Was that the biggest major soccer game or event that you covered in your broadcasting career?
It was, but not the most memorable. It was actually at the San Siro in Milan. They lost to Sweden.
Yep.
First time they missed in like 60 years. But I talk about this all the time because it's not just a career. No, I don't want to call it a highlight because the wildest day of my career and the wildest day of my life was in 2012, and it's amazing watching Alphonso Davies and Jonathan David and seeing how far the national team program has come. Yeah. But I think it was in October of 2012, we went down to San Pedro Sula, Honduras for a World Cup qualifier. Canada had to either win or draw with Honduras to get into the Hex. They had just draw at BMO, it was a 0-0 draw. And we landed in the murder capital of the world per capita for like less than 72 hours. And it was the most intimidating, wild scene you can ever imagine. And Canada lost 8-1 that afternoon. It was hot. Fans were throwing bags of piss. There was barbed wire. There was riot police walking around. They had shut down cell service to avoid any kind of, gang warfare. I mean, it was just wild. So to go from that and now seeing what this national team is doing, the rise they're on, what they're capable of, and that maybe Qatar could be a reality, and that they're part of the host nations for 2026. Nick, it's just wild.
It is. As playing rep soccer my entire life and just finished League One Ontario semi-pro a couple of years ago, and to see where Canada soccer has gone, even in the women's end, as my sister's playing in college soccer and in League One Ontario for Woodbridge Strikers, it's crazy to see how much the growth has come in Canada soccer. And I'm telling you, I spoke to a few of the guys on the team, Lucas Cavallini, former Toe St. Ricketts, Richie Laray on the show. And the optimism in that camp is mind-blowing in the positive direction on they know they will beat USA and beat Mexico, and they're not afraid of them anymore, and they can do it. And it's really great to see, that's for sure.
Well, the best player in CONCACAF is a Canadian.
Simple as that. Simple as that.
It's wild. And you talk about the women's program. It's amazing to me that you think back almost 10 years ago, London 2012, the greatest soccer game ever played, greatest Canadian soccer game ever played against the US, and the schmoz that was, and how Christine Sinclair kind of carried everybody on their back. And there was a young girl watching that game who said, one day I want to do that. One day I want to be that. And 9 years later, that girl, who was I think like 12 at the time or 10 at the time or something, scores the winning goal in penalties for Canada to win a gold medal at the Olympics. The power of sport, the power of Christine, and maybe this week there's going to be a kid, a young boy somewhere in the country who looks at Alphonso and looks at Jonathan David and says, "Hey, I want to do that. I want to be that." And maybe a generation later, a decade later, we'll see, that kid end up being a performer.
Sport is powerful. Sport is definitely powerful. And I remember I was at the cottage in Muskoka back in 2012 when USA played Canada. And I remember the calls and how, it should have went Canada's way, but they still fought to get that bronze that
referee. Damn it, that Norwegian referee, Nick.
Imagine 6-second call that you've never seen before ever. It's actually funny because in my sister's League One Ontario semi-final game, about a couple of weeks ago. One of her center backs got a yellow card during the game. No problem. That's fine. It was a yellow card. And then I think almost halfway through, she got her second yellow card. But the second yellow card was because the referee asked her to go back from a free kick, right? Yards, go back for the wall. And she was going back literally on her way walking. Supposedly she was walking too slow. And she got a second yellow card.
Too slow.
Too slow. And she got a second yellow. Imagine that. So on the bench, I was like, on the spectator side, I was like, that's exactly what happened in 2012, but a different circumstance, different play, and the exact same thing, something you never see called before. So it's just crazy to see, right? How much a referee's influence can have on any sport, baseball umpiring and so on and so forth. It truly, truly is crazy. It makes the world hate the refs, but even though they have a tough job to do, that's for sure. Listen,
it's hard to paint everybody with the same brush. A lot of people are in it for the right reasons, and just like anything, a couple bad apples can ruin the barrel.
Absolutely, absolutely. Listen, Arash, you got your start. I'm not going to say back in the day because you're still a fair age. Okay, you're still a fair age, but you were at the Score, the 8-channel news in Ottawa, the Score as well. Yeah. How important do you think that start was at these two networks in order to get to where you are now today?
Well, I'll take even back further. I mean, those were way deeper on tour. I got my start at the Truro Daily News, a daily newspaper in my hometown.
Wow.
Covered everything from the Tulip Festival and the Bluegrass Festival to senior baseball to junior hockey to provincial and federal elections and all things in between, and worked evenings and weekends and traveled the province. I worked for the Sherbrooke Record, another daily newspaper. I read traffic and weather on the ones in Calgary. You mentioned 8-channel, which is kind of like City TV for a channel that doesn't exist anymore. And then I was able to get to the Score. I also had a couple of stints working PR and media relations in the front office of the CFL team. And Nick, all those stops on tour, I learned you understand the importance of contacts and relationships and how to handle situations. And all of those are vital. Mm-hmm. You know, you almost think about sport, and it's not just when a first round draft pick, say in baseball, goes from single A and double A, it's not just because to improve themselves at the plate or on the mound. It's about understanding what the pro game is all about, what the pro business is all about, what it takes day in and day out. And I was very fortunate to have some good mentors along the way and some stops on tour that kind of helped me in what I was doing.
You went to Bishop's University for a Bachelor of Business, Administration, Marketing, Human Resources. Did you? That's not the broadcasting, I guess, program to take. Did you always want to be a sports broadcaster or just a broadcaster in general, or did it take some path to figure out what you're eventually doing now?
Yeah, no, this is always what I wanted to do, and one of the main reasons that I chose Bishop's is because sports matters there. Football and basketball especially is a big part of that whole culture of the university. And at the time, there is now, but at the time there was no journalism program, there was no sports studies program. The university now has both. I knew that I was able to go there and write for the school paper and broadcast some games of our hoops and football teams, to help out with the athletic department and get to practical experience and to get the reps and to get the chops and be able to do all those things to learn and expand my contact base. So that's one of the main reasons that I went there. And, you know, the teams were pretty good when I first got there. The basketball team won the national championship my first year. The football team went 6-2, and then it kind of went downhill from there. But it was a blast. It was a great learning experience. But Bishop's is a great time. Bishop's is a great
As you smirk and as you smile, of course. The university days, Arash, the university days.
Oh, glory days, Nick. Glory days.
Hey, that's been a little bit far from me now, you know, graduating in 2013. There's 2016, I should say. 2016.
Where'd you go to school?
I went to Humber College in Toronto at the North Campus. Graduated in Media Foundations in 2014. Just wanted to do the whole go around between photography to journalism to radio to this to that to design basics, which I was atrocious in, but I still passed. But I just want to get everything. And then I went to my diploma program in 2014 to 2016, the same program as Sid Sixero graduated in radio broadcasting at Humber College. So yeah, so I'm there now. I wanted to be a play-by-play man my whole life, doing it now technically with the Oakville Blades. Been there for 5 years, Brampton Bombers for 2 years in the GOJHL. Now I just want to keep on moving up the OHL or the ECHL, and eventually follow hopefully in my idol Joe Bowen's footsteps and be a play-by-play man in the NHL. So it's a lot of hard work, Arash. People in your footsteps always tell me it's a grind and it's a tough business to get in, but when I have the passion like I do, and I'm one of those guys that have that passion, and I'm not going to stop until I know it maybe can't be a reality, then I'm just going to keep on plugging away.
Yeah, and along the way, look, it's all part of it. When I was fresh out of school, looking for a job, I was working in McGill University's athletic department. I was freelancing for a couple different newspapers also. I was involved with the sports radio station in Montreal. I would rent a car out of my own pocket to commute to Ottawa, crash on buddies' couches, and so just for the opportunity to volunteer play-by-play for Carleton and Ottawa U basketball, and football, just for the chance, just for the reps, just for the opportunity. And if you want it, like anything, Nick, you go get it. You wanted it. You wanted to interview me. You found a way to do it. You came up to me. That's how you do it, man. Nothing's given, especially in this industry. So showing the initiative and showing the passion is a big part of it.
Absolutely. That's exactly what I have. So I'm just going to keep on plugging away, right? Keep on chipping away, and day by day, hopefully get there one day. That's for sure. And you're trying to kind of do that, but for other people these days, Arash, as a college instructor at Centennial College. How cool is that? Because I know a buddy of mine who is getting taught by Ivanka Osmak, I believe, in some sports broadcasting school. And I see you're teaching as well a little bit now. Hasn't been too long, but how is that, and how did that come to fruition? Because I've noticed a lot of these, professional, I guess, broadcasters now are trying to give back or are learning, I guess, to teach other students coming up. How cool is that little thing that you're doing?
Yeah, I really enjoyed it. I had a chance to work the summer semester and to be an instructor in on-air presentation. It was myself, Nikki Reyes, former colleague, and Claude Fag, who I've known for a while. It was the three of us teaching this. And it's interesting, Nick, just how much the industry is evolving and how quickly it's changing. And it's wild to think, man, that 10 years ago, nobody was consuming content really off Instagram. So you got to think 5, 6, 7 years down the road, we'll probably be consuming sports content, whatever, on a software, on a platform, on something that doesn't even exist today. And that is wild to me. Just the way we go about it, how that's all going to shake down. So getting a chance, I learned almost as much from the students as they learned from me, just to see, what are you guys watching? How do you watch it? What's important to you? And to really share some of the foundational stuff of on-air presentation, of broadcasting, of storytelling. And I think a lot of what we do, regardless of whatever you want to call it, is telling a good story. And that's so important to what we do.
In the last episode of the show, I spoke to Dwayne De Rosario, and D-Rose said about, how the broadcasting in a way is changing. And he's like, yeah, I can't wait till Canada, the men's team is back on the front cover of the Toronto Sun in the newspaper. I said, D-Ro, let me tell you something, my friend. no one reads the newspapers anymore. And he started to laugh, but it is kind of true that the where it's going, I feel like newspapers might be obsolete in the near future.
Here's the problem.
Or close.
The issue now is that your generation, Nick, the idea of paying for content is far-fetched.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, great. How are you going to get paid to do whatever you do? If you're not going to, if people are not going to pay to consume music, movies, shows, sports, written word, audio, then how is anybody going to make a living doing this? That's my question, and it's hard to get a real answer on that these days.
Yeah, it's definitely tough because, you know, that's what's it's revenue based, right? It's, you know, people have to make a living in every aspect, and that's very, very, very true. I just wanted to touch upon a little bit, Arash, the travel that you've done over these years, but during COVID as well. How different is the travel that, you know, I guess regular life pre-COVID do, you know, now in this during COVID, or people, some will call post-COVID, because we're basically back during everything. But has it been a drastic change?
I don't know if it's been a drastic change. The number of flights are fewer than they've ever been. So you don't have as much variety, which means the airports are more packed. Security lineups are busier. And you wear a mask, you know, everywhere you go. Outside of that, it hasn't changed too much, Nick. Now, depending on where you go, some of the access is a little different. Some of it isn't. Got down to the baseball postseason this year. It was standard operating procedure. It just depends on the place. Now, I think that part of access is now different because some leagues are, well, the CFL is continuing to do Zoom calls, but I think there were a lot of people who thought Zoom was going to be the way and in-person access was not going to be what it used to be. It's not that. The one-on-one thing is very important, and I think a lot of athletes have understood that, and teams have understood that. And now more than ever, it's so competitive to get people interested because people went away from it. The Leafs aren't selling out. I mean, let me repeat that. The Leafs are not selling out. So as much as they want to restrict access, they're realizing, hey, we actually need to connect with the public more than ever before.
You know, it's funny you say that. I went to the Leafs game past the last Monday against the LA Kings, and you say the Leafs aren't selling out. Meanwhile, I look around me and I see the standing room full with the Leafs, and, you know, them putting on a performance. The typical Leafs going, beating Vegas, Boston, and Tampa, and lose to the beloved LA Kings, right? It's crazy to just think about that. And I want to touch upon the Leafs a little bit later. But no, you're right. You're right. It's absolutely crazy on the times. And I, you know, we just see from afar the difference, man. Like, yeah, it's easy to say, but from no fans to fans in the stands in every sport in any country, my goodness, especially soccer, like in Europe, what a difference on how much we need fans in the game, in the sports in general. It's actually crazy.
You'd forgotten how exciting it was to go to a sporting event and be part of it. You'd forgotten, you know, in the bubbles and everything else, how vital it was to have that place electric, and how important that is. So as much as we kind of got used to, life without fans and without a scene, it became so vital to have it, you know, and to have a together gathering spot and for everybody to be on the same page.
Absolutely. You've been with Sportsnet Arash for a while now, since January 2009. In 2017, you received the George Gross Award winner for Canada's top sports broadcaster of the year. How amazing was that honor for yourself?
It was incredible, Nick. You know, on a number of different levels. I mean, I'm like, at my very core, I'm just a small town kid from Truro, Nova Scotia, who always wanted to do this and have gotten the opportunity to do it. But what was really incredible for me was just seeing the list of previous winners and the names: Brian Williams and Chris Cuthbert and Dan Schulman and Rod Black, and on it goes. You're saying to yourself, wait a minute, how am I in the same vein as some of these giants, these icons, you know? And so that was really touching. It was a hell of a day. And you know, so often you hear people say, like, I'm humbled. Nick, I was truly humbled that day. Like, that was pretty amazing. And I'm so fortunate. Like, I'm the person in front of the camera, but there are so many people behind the scenes, our ENG camera operators and our associate producers and our producers and our editors, who are all part of this, the people who work on the assignment desk. They're, you know, they all shared in that award. So, but man, it was a damn cool day. I won't lie, Nick.
Hey, that, I know it would be for me. That's for damn sure. So no, that's awesome. That's awesome. Congrats. Obviously, I know it's been already, I can't believe 4 years from that now. You probably are like, what the hell? 4 years have passed already. But
time makes it anymore coming out of COVID, does it?
Oh gosh, I feel bad for the people who've had two birthdays during COVID-19, right? It's pretty damn crazy in my opinion. What also is crazy though, Arash, all the I guess major events you've covered, and I want to read them out here. You know, the Winter and Summer Olympics, Super Bowl, World Series, NBA Finals, US Open Tennis, Davis Cup, Grey Cup, the Masters, Stanley Cup Finals. Is there one of those, or maybe one I didn't mention, that was your absolute favorite to cover?
Well, that day in Honduras, the World Cup qualifier was crazy. I would say going to my first Olympics was something else. That was London 2012. I remember walking towards Olympic Stadium, Nick, the day of the opening ceremony, and just thinking to myself, wow, this is real. This has happened. Wish you could kind of bottle that feeling. I think it was 2014, Eugenie Bouchard got to the finals of Wimbledon. I never thought in my lifetime I would see a Canadian in a final of a Grand Slam, let alone Wimbledon, let alone me as a kid who grew up playing tennis, getting a chance to go to Wimbledon center court. That was wild. And then I didn't cover the day Bianca won the US Open, but I remember being in Tampa at the Trop doing a Jays game, and it just felt just so overwhelming. So I've been very lucky, man. Going to my first Super Bowl was something I just never thought was ever going to happen either. So these are all these things that, you know, you hope are one day going to happen, and then one day they do. It's pretty neat. But then you get there and it's like, okay, well, as cool as this is, and you get a minute to appreciate it and enjoy it, then we got work to do. And I'm here to do a job, and you know, you remind yourself of that, and then you go do it.
Well, it's safe to say you don't have a favorite then, but that's good. You have multiple favorites.
Lucky.
Bottle into one. You're lucky. You're lucky. But then I segue into, I don't know if you're even allowed to say, but I'm going to ask anyways, the most influential maybe person you've interviewed or you've met in your broadcasting career. I don't, like I said, I don't know if you're allowed to say that favorite person or however you want to phrase it, of course, but was there that one, I don't know, colleague or even professional athlete or someone along the lines where you said, I can't believe I'm interviewing him or her. I can't believe I'm talking to them.
I would say the most influential person in my career, I've been lucky to have a few. My first boss at the Truro Daily News, a guy by the name of Bill McGuire, taught me the ropes, Nick, you know, how to go about it, how to handle situations, gave me leash to go, you know, make an ass of myself and learn from it. Continue to hire me, continue to give me opportunities. Glenn McDonald is a guy I worked with at the Score. Glenn came over to Sportsnet, was a pivotal reason for my hiring there. Without Glennie, none of this is possible. I would say the most polished athlete I've ever interviewed. I've done a few sit downs with Roger Federer along the way, and he is a brand and he understands the whole shooting match. So he's definitely one. Had an opportunity to do a walk-off interview with David Beckham when the LA Galaxy came here to play Toronto FC. He understands he understands this kind of whole media business and circus and what it's all about. So those are a couple that stand out, I'd say.
Did you get to talk to any of the Italian national players when you were at the San Siro back in 2018?
Yes, just scrums afterwards. It was a pretty dismal evening there at the San Siro that night.
Yeah. Did you understand any Italian or no? Just a lot of yelling.
No, I needed you as my translator, boss.
Really?
That's
Wow.
what I.
Interesting. Hey, you got to. If I was there along the road, I could have been your translator. But hey, I was staring at the screen for over 10 minutes with a pillow in my hand, trying to yell in the pillow because I can't believe the Italian national team didn't make the World Cup, and I was absolutely floored. So I don't know if I could have been the translator because it wouldn't have worked out well. It wouldn't have worked out well. A lot of Italian swearing might have gone out.
But that's the thing, man. It's you have to almost separate that emotion side of things, you know.
Yes.
That's a big part of it.
Yeah, and I've noticed I've done that over the years. I remember broadcasting in my early junior hockey days, and man, I was such a homer. I was for my team and almost my team only. And I look back now, 7 years of doing play-by-play, junior B, 2 years, junior A, 5 years, and I'm looking, I'm like, man, I was such a homer. I've grown and gotten better so much. I got still so much growing and developing to do, of course, but my goodness, how that fine line sometimes you play with as a broadcaster, not going at the referee because you're a homer of that team and you're a broadcaster of that team. And it's true. And people have told me that over these years, to just, you got to be almost impartial. Yes, you're the team broadcaster, but also learn how to find those fine lines. And I feel like that's what broadcasters these days, I feel like in the States, they don't really go with that, but in Canada, our broadcasters here, they normally find those fine lines and they stay at par, let's just say.
There was a line, I don't know if you remember Joe Biagini, former Blue Jay pitcher. And I was talking to him one day about, just him evolving as a pitcher and player and whatever. And Joe's line to me, which I think is very relatable to so many different industries, he said, the more I learn about pitching, the more I realize how little I know about it. And I thought that was a real kind of telling line about sport, but also about just kind of all of us, that we think we know, but the more we spend time at it, we realize how little we know.
Yeah, that's very interesting. Joe Biagini, he was definitely a character on that Jays team, that's for sure. Listen, Arash, you've done sideline reporting for Hockey Night in Canada, play-by-play as well for Canadian University football, basketball, as you mentioned. Writer for Sportsnet, fill-in host for the Fan 590 on sports radio. Between TV, radio, and writing, is there like a 1, 2, 3, or is there a 1A, 1B, 1C in your mind in what you enjoy doing most? I know you probably love and enjoy doing everything, but is there one that you're like, maybe TV over radio or radio over TV, or you really love writing for the website or for the company?
No, I just like storytelling, Nick. I like telling a good story. I like getting opportunities to get some access that not a lot of people get, and to find ways to tell them creatively. I really enjoy that part of it. So that's the, to me, it doesn't matter which medium it's on, as long as you can tell it creatively. There are some things that you do that are better fit for print. I remember 2017 when Chapeau in Montreal won a thriller against Nadal as coming out party. was able to be in the locker room with him and his team afterwards, and wrote a story for excuse me, Sportsnet.ca about it, kind of the behind the scenes stuff. I really enjoy that. And yeah, so I don't necessarily think it's one or the other, just depends on what the best fit is.
You've covered the Blue Jays a lot this season, if not the entire season. They've had a heck of a run. Didn't look like they were going to be in any mix. I think they were 11 or 13 games back of the wild card, and you would obviously know better than me, being around the team for the most part. What truly, in your eyes, is the Blue Jays' potential coming into next year, the year after that, and the year after that?
Do I think they're on the rise, Nick? Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think it's so hard to really even forecast next year or the year after when you don't know what their pitching staff is going to be.
Yeah.
You can just never have enough good pitching. And, nobody saw Robbie Ray, I think, having the season that he was going to have, or Steven Matz. So it's just so hard to really forecast right now because we don't know what the rotation is. We don't know who's coming back. We don't know any of it. So that's, I'm not being on the fence on it. I'm not trying to be flippant about it. Just look, our Bo and Vlad, franchise cornerstones, no question. All those things are, part of it. But to me, it starts and ends with good pitching. So once we really get an idea of what they have, that will really be able to answer that question properly.
I wanted your opinion on this, though, quickly. The MLB playoffs, okay? Why? I mean, I guess it's a simple answer, and I guess I know it too, but why is it such a short playoff, meaning there's not so many teams? Why can't they extend it a little bit? Because you saw what? The Dodgers and the Giants, two teams that, we're at the top with over 100 wins, 106, 107, and they're going at each other, and one team had to go out right away. Meanwhile, if you extend it by 2 or 3 teams, have 12 teams make it instead of the NBA and the NHL 16, or have a little bit, even 8, 10, different format a little bit, and have these better teams in the playoffs. Because in my opinion, yeah, I'm from Toronto, I'm from Brampton, and I'm a homer for the Jays, of course, but they were hot going into the postseason if they made it. And I truly believe they could have hit the World Series or even the CS if they got in. If they extend the playoffs a little bit, wouldn't the better teams that have the 90 wins get in and it will be a little bit more competitive, or not in your eyes?
No, not in my eyes. You have 162 games to show who you are.
Sure.
And what you are. If the Blue Jays had upgraded their bullpen earlier, if the Blue Jays had not gone out and gotten Brad Hand, if the Blue Jays had not sent out Joel Payamps and Tyler Chatwood and on we can go, they would have been in. So the playoffs are a month long. I think that's long enough for a season that begins with pitchers and catchers reporting in mid-February. If after 162 games you can't show who you are and what you are.
Okay. All right. Hey, I don't mind. That's why I wanted your advice, right? I mean, it's true. 162 games. I just feel like the playoff spots are so thin in the MLB, but hey, you know more than me. So I just asked the question. No, listen, Arash, I do appreciate you coming on. I know you, as I mentioned, you cover a lot. And if I feel like it's basically an event after an event or a coverage after a coverage for you, but you found the time, and I really, truly, truly appreciate you coming on and being on the show.
I appreciate it, Nick. We'll see you down the road, man. When you become my boss one day, don't fire my ass. That's all I ask.
Hey, I have to get in there first, so don't worry. That definitely won't happen. But listen, like I said, I appreciate you coming on. Definitely not too much, I would say. Maybe a lot of kind people in the business, but not a lot of open people for this stuff in the business, helping a guy that I try to come up in the business one day. So once again, thank you.
You got it, man. We'll see you down the road, Nick. Thanks again, man.
Absolutely. Everybody, episode 48. with Arash Madani from Rogers SPORTSNET. Mamma Mia, this is Fire Talk, episode number 48. Instagram Lives, more episodes on the horizon. www.mamamiathisisfiretalk.com. Hoodies, long sleeves, t-shirts, and hats available for purchase as well. We got the merch. We got the people. Thank you, everybody. And Mamma Mia.
Now Davis takes it and looks to come the other way. Davis is in, trying to drive, and he will look to go across. Good play to Davis, though, to get it right back to him. He goes down low to Israels. Centering, it's there. Scores! Stevie! Steven Whittle scores his first OJHL playoff goal for the Oakville Blades. This game is opening up in a big way for both teams. Ricketts centering, what a pass, Israel's breakaway, the move, scores! What a goal for the Alaska Fairbanks commit, the assistant captain, Harrison Israels, with an absolute dandy. Down low to Lyons, Jack Lyons centering, scores! The double jacks combine as that puck popped up like a jack in a box, and it's Jack Ricketts from Jack Lyons. 6-1 on the 40th shot of the game. It's all Oakville.
Blake Smith hits it in. A chance here can develop, but the Blades will look to take it. And Ricketts finds Israels. Breakaway Israels. A chance. Backhand. Rebound. Scores! And the Oakville Blades win it here in Toronto. Blades win. Blades win. Blades win.
That was Mamma Mia, this is Fire Talk with Nicholas Fiore. Thank you for watching and listening, and stay tuned for the next episode.